Welcome to another episode of the Metal Queens podcast. I'm Steve Richards. This is where we celebrate the fiercest voices in rock and metal, the women who turn pain into power and music into movement. Today's guest is a force of nature, an artist whose music has lit up Netflix, MTV, and stages across the country. From Cleveland's rising rock powerhouse, Hooked Like Helen, we're joined by vocalist, songwriter, and survivor, too, Nikki Stipp. Welcome to the Metal Queens podcast.
Thank you so much. That was a fantastic introduction. I loved that. So good.
Thank
Everything
you.
about it. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. So, this band, Hook Like Helen, has evolved so much over the years. What feels different about this current era with this new single out now? I don't mind.
Oh my goodness. We have just been able to kind of get more and more raw and real with every release. I think just the more I've just been able to dig deeper, I guess, as a songwriter and just, as I've built confidence and healed more on my own personal journey. So I feel like this stuff that with this new latest EP and I Don't Mind is just kind of like the most honest, like, for better or worse, of all of our music, I think.
Yeah, the new EP will be out on August 14th. You and John have built this band together. How does
Yeah.
that creative and personal partnership shape your sound?
It's a pretty cool dynamic that I feel really lucky to have. I pretty much am the primary songwriter. I write everything on piano, first, piano vocal, and then we kind of figure out how to make it rock later. And John comes in and helps with that, with the arranging, and he kind of like helps. He boosts my confidence, but then he also kind of is that reality check where it's like, I can't start straying off into too many crazy ways. He's like helps me kind of hone everything in, and gives me that feedback. I can bounce off of him. So, it's weird because we were in a band together first before we started dating. So like we knew how to be bandmates before we even like knew how to be husband and wife and, parents and all that stuff. So it just kind of comes naturally to us and it's evolved over the years.
Who came up with the name Hook Like Helen, and what's the meaning behind it?
So that was kind of both of us. It was we have a family friend whose name is Helen. It's a longtime friend of mine. She's an older lady, super duper sweet. She's kind of the reason that John and I met, the reason we joined the same band back in LA. It was a different band before. And it was sort of like if one of those ways that she had connected us hadn't happened, like one of the other ones would have. Like there were all these different connections, almost like a butterfly effect, like destiny kind of thing, right? So the name of the band is an homage to her. And when I got pregnant, I had to like quit all the things that are bad for you, right? And
Mm.
like the last kind of final thing that was giving me a tough time was my addiction to Diet Coke. And hooked Helen is actually she had a massive Diet Coke addiction at the time, like doing, like the big gulps and everything. So I said, at least I'm not hooked like Helen is on Diet Coke. And John just looked at me and he's like, band name. And I was like, let's go. And so when we moved from LA to Ohio and had our son, we hit the ground running with a new musical project and we just went with Hook Like Helen.
Why Ohio for you guys?
So that is where John is from originally, from this teeny little town out here in the cornfields of Ohio. And, I grew up in the LA area, just north of LA. He had come out there for music, and it just felt like with everything we had going on, like, I had to get sober, obviously, and he needed to get sober, and we needed just kind of like a fresh start to get away from kind of like the situations and the people and everything that was contributing to our addictions and our lifestyles. So it felt like it made sense for us to go back to where he's from, where he has family, and to kind of like get a fresh start for our new chapter of being parents.
Let's talk about this new single, I Don't Mind. What's the story behind the song?
So this song is about unresolved trauma. It's about, my traumatic past and how I spent a ton of time, many years, just like completely dissociating and numbing out and not even realizing that I was traumatized and kind of just being like, I'm fine, and that was kind of part of what I was using substances for, was to kind of just not have to feel anything. And so the song is kind of about like that toxic positivity of trying to like tell yourself you're fine, but like really, you're not. And it's one that I've done a ton of healing over the years, and part of it has been through getting to play the music for fans and connecting with them and hearing their stories. So even though the song is only recently out, it's one that's like held a lot of weight for us and like some of our fans. So it's just been really cool to finally put it out in the world.
The EP, as I mentioned, is coming out August 14th. Let's look at it here as a full body of work. And sonically, what can fans expect from this next chapter compared to Promise Me You'll Run?
So really it's kind of the second installment of
Mm.
Promise Me You'll Run. I feel like really it could almost be like a full album, but just kind of the way that the cycle works for an indie band like us. It's like get some music out, hit the road, make some videos, get some more music out, just kind of breaking things up a little bit. So it's quite similar. We had a lot of the same team that we had on Promise Me You'll Run is who we worked with for the Lend Me Your Ear EP, because we were just really clicking and really vibing with the sound. We feel like the fans were vibing, so we're like, let's keep going with this. Um, I feel like we do dabble in a little bit more of a like I almost want to say like pop punk, like alternative rock on some of the songs, versus like the more just kind of hard rock that we have on Promise Me You'll Run. So there's just a wider range, I think, of genre stuff happening, but we've always been kind of genre fluid. It's all definitely still rock though.
Nikki, your music's been featured everywhere. Do you approach songwriting differently, knowing it could land on film or television?
Um, it's almost two different worlds. Uh, when we started Hook Like Helen, as I said, we just moved to Ohio, just got sober, just had a baby, and it was really we felt like we were Hook Like Helen was kind of more about the writing for film and TV. We were kind of like learning how to record ourselves at home. We had just received a little bit of a few pieces of equipment for a home studio from John's uncle who had passed away. So it was like an M box and two studio monitors and like a little Pro Tools setup. So we started teaching ourselves how to record and how to kind of create music like for film and TV. So like we at that point, that was the focus because that's what we felt we could do as new parents in the cornfields. Um, and that is a little bit different than the Hook Like Helen that we are thankful to be now, where we're really getting to say exactly what we want to say. Not that we weren't then, but it's just a different thing when you are writing for a project or writing for a director or writing for a specific somebody else's vision. And it's actually very, very cool to get to be a part of someone else's bigger vision in a broad sense like that. And I'm very grateful for it, and I'd love to do it. And it's kind of cool to have guidelines too, because then you don't get stuck in like writer's block or getting stuck in your head. It's not done yet. I got to keep working. It's like, no, you've got a deadline. You need to send it. So it's also a very cool creative outlet. Um, but now as Hook Like Helen has continued to grow and become what it is, like I said, it's just more of like I don't really worry about where it's going to land with that stuff, with the film and TV stuff. If it does, that's great. That's awesome. But this is more about, kind of the journey that we're on with the fans, really.
You've touched on this a couple of times already. You've been incredibly open about your sobriety, 13 years strong. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
How has that journey shaped your voice as an artist?
Um, it has shaped it a ton. I feel like, there's that trope of like, the rock star debauchery and like the, oh, like excessive this and that, and like how they were still able to be rock stars and put out all this great art. And like, I really was not. When I was using, I was not my best, and I was not putting out, I wasn't fulfilling kind of like my potential as an artist and like doing all the things I wanted to do and sounding the way I wanted to sound. So not only has been being on a sobriety journey, like I've continued to just elevate and improve as an artist, but also it has influenced what I write about because of just what I've been through and what I'm continuing to go through. So it's like, you know, it be the journey I was on influenced me quite negatively at first,
Mm.
and then now it's sort of like, well, I had to go through that in order to be on this other side and be able to give this perspective to people who need it.
And Hook Like Helen goes beyond music, creating spaces for healing on college campuses. Why is that mission so important to you guys?
Well, it's like we were actually just talking to our mix engineer Chris Collier today, about how like being a musician is inherently a little bit selfish. You're kind of like an attention whore, and you're just kind of doing your thing no matter what. And there's other things, that maybe would be an easier path or easier on your family, or whatever. And so sometimes, you can get in your head and just be like, man, why am I doing this? I'm so selfish. Like, and the creation of music and the self-expression, it's cathartic for yourself. um, and that's where we were at with it for however many years, until we started touring and playing live and connecting with fans and realizing that, you know they would come up to us after the shows and tell us their stories and tell us how our music affects them and means something to them. There was this one show we played. It was Pride in our hometown, and a fan came up to us, just a person who had never heard us before, and they had come to the show and they said, I had planned on relapsing tonight, and then I heard your song Sleepwalker about sobriety, and I took that as my sign to stay sober. And it's like moments like that where you realize, okay, this is like, how could I ever not like pursue this to the utmost extent when like I don't know who I'm helping, or how deeply I might be helping them. So it just makes me feel like everything that I went through in my life, the trauma and the suffering and all those things, it gives purpose to that when I'm
Yeah.
able to, like your intro. I loved it so much, to be able to take that pain and make something good out of it.
Yeah. It makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You mentioned shows, so let's talk about shows. I know you have a date coming up, April 28th. By the way, if you're watching and listening to this and you're going to be in the Cleveland area, right? Lakewood is a suburb of Cleveland.
Yes.
Um, Hook Like Helen will be performing with another artist that's been on this podcast, Major Moments. So, two great
Woo!
bands you can check out in Lakewood. There's still tickets left for that show, right?
Yes, there are. I think they're going, so I would definitely grab them. We're so excited to play with them. They're awesome, Major Moments. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Any other shows coming up after that?
We may most likely be coming back down to the southeast in June. We can't announce those days exactly yet, but we do have. If you're going to be in the Alabama area on September 12th, we're really excited because they just announced the show that we're playing. It's for the Humane Society, and we're going to be playing with Josie Scott, the original voice of Saliva,
Yeah,
and it's for
yeah.
a great cause. Yeah, love him. For a really good cause. It's called Rock Your Paws, and it is in Huntsville, Alabama on September 12th. So that one's going to be really exciting. And then on September 22nd, we're coming back to Euclid, which is like near the Cleveland
Hmm.
area, to play Rock the Block. So we're going to be rocking your paws, rocking the block. And then there's probably some tours happening in between there, but we can't. We'll talk about those later.
Yeah, follow them on social or hooklikehelen.com for tour updates and show updates as well. Now, you're married to a musician, obviously, here, but when you guys are not making music or touring, what brings you peace? What do you like to do to escape?
We are big on the fitness journey stuff. That's another part of, our piece. And it's something that we kind of, when we do our talks about mental health and stuff, we bring that up because uh, getting up, and I love to kickbox. That's my
Mm,
favorite thing. And just, John likes to do a little bit more of like the weightlifting and running and stuff like that, but he'll kickbox with me. He's a good partner. That is like, I just absolutely love it. It is so much fun to just get that rage out and that
yeah.
aggression and, just beat something up. That's my other passion, I would say.
Nikki, if someone discovers Hook Like Helen for the first time through your brand new single, I Don't Mind, what do you hope they
Yeah.
take away?
I hope they take away that I mean it, and that if they are having a moment where they're not feeling, great, that they're not alone and that it's okay. You don't have to be feeling awesome all the time.
She's Nikki Step from Hook Like Helen. Thank you for your honesty, your strength, and your music too. Hook Like Helen isn't just creating songs, they're creating lifelines too. Check out this latest single, I Don't Mind. That is out now. The EP is coming out on August 14th. HookedLikeHelen.com for more info on upcoming tour dates and follow them on social media as well. Nikki, thank you so much for joining me.
Heck yeah, thank you.
And thanks for watching and for listening to the Metal Queens podcast. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, and write a review if you don't mind. And I will talk to you again next time. I'm Steve Richards.